Let's start the class with 3 ohms. Om. 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 Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramarthanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagatgurum. We are doing the chapter 2 of the Bhagavad Gita, and we have seen the entire chapter, and now we are focusing on some of the highlights of this chapter. I have explained to you that this chapter has got 4 topics. The first topic was Arjuna Saranagati. The second topic was Gyana Yoga. And the third topic is Karma Yoga. And the last one is, what are the characteristics of the Mukta Purusha? I have explained earlier that Bhagavad Gita is a divine song. It is a teaching through Arjuna to all of us. And the teaching is about our own higher nature, which we are not aware of today. So we must be extremely clear what we are going to study in the entire Gita and what is the benefit we get out of it. The central benefit which has been taught to us is that there is a goal called Moksha, which is one of the Purusharthas or one of the 4 goals of a human being. And this goal is what every human being, knowingly or unknowingly, is seeking. By the end of the study of the Gita, I'm sure all of you will realize this particular goal and get a glimpse of the higher nature. We may not be able to abide in it, but I am sure that we will all get a glimpse of the higher nature for all of us. Each one of us has the higher nature. And it is the same higher nature which we all have to realize. So after having covered the entire chapter 2, I had decided that I will do some of the highlights dealing with the higher nature. And I started explaining all the verses from chapter 2, verse number 12 onwards. That is where the teaching actually begins. And we have covered from 12 to 18. Now, what is the central theme of these verses, if you ask? It is our own nature, our own higher nature, which is being described and being taught by Lord Krishna. If you keep these indicators throughout the study of the Bhagavad Gita and also in future, there are 25 indicators in this list. And we are seeing each one of them, trying to understand what they mean. And we have to apply these to our own nature and see whether I'm able to experience or feel or realize this nature of Atma as my nature. It is not that there is some Atma somewhere and that Atma has got these features. That is a wrong way of studying the Gita. The best way is, to whatever extent you can, you say Bhagavad Gita is teaching about my own nature. It is like explaining to me who I am, what is my glory. I think I'm the body and mind, but Lord Krishna says you're not the body. You are not the mind. This is the fundamental lesson which we all have to realize. I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am something other than the body and mind, which is called as Atma. This Atma, in short, has been described in the Upanishads, especially in Taittiriya Upanishad. They use three terms for it, three words: Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, or Sat, Chit, Ananda. These three words we should never forget. You may not understand the full depth of the meaning immediately, but you must remember these three words. Anytime you want to know or you get disturbed in life, you must sit quietly and try to apply these three words to yourself. This will give you the benefit of peace of mind in any situation. But one needs to study the Bhagavad Gita to understand these three words. In up to verse number 18, we have seen different indicators. Now today we will start with this verse number 19. We will go on up to verse number 25, 26, and see what are the other indicators of this Atma. This Atma is Akarta. Let me just go through the verse first. Yayenam beti hantaram yachainam manyate hatam ubau tau na vijanitaha nayam hantina hanyate. We must remember the background of this teaching. Lord Krishna is in the middle of a battlefield, explaining to Arjuna, the warrior, the Kshatriya, who is about to start the war and kill so many people. In that setup, Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna that you are not the slayer of people. You are not the slayer and the other people are not slain. This is the highest lesson one can get, and probably in the worst scenario of a battlefield, where somebody is about to go and fight and he says, don't worry, you are not the slayer and the other person is also not slain. What does he mean by this? What he means is, you are fighting a dharmic war. It is a duty which you have to do with reference to your body, physical body-mind complex. The physical body-mind complex is born to take certain actions in life from birth to death. That is the dharma of the body. And there is the individual soul, which we call it as Atma, which is the indweller in the body. It is the power by which the body is alive. That power by which the body is alive is called as Atma. That Atma is never born and it is never dies. It is akarta, abhokta. Atma means pure consciousness, awareness, principle. This is the subtlest thing in creation. Very, very sukshma. Therefore, what Lord Krishna is teaching here is that this Atma by which the body is alive or by which you are able to see the body working, fighting, talking, hearing, seeing, this Atma is an illuminator of the body. It is not the illumined body or the mind or the world. Illuminator is different than the illumined. The body is doing action. Therefore, we say the body-mind complex is karta bhokta. In the body, there is a reflection of the awareness in the mind. That reflection is the electricity which is behind the bulb. The bulb is like the body-mind complex. Electricity running through it is energizing the bulb to glow. So similarly, Atma is like the electricity which makes the body alive. It is only an illuminator. It is not a karta or a bhokta. Karta means doer. Bhokta means enjoyer. So the karta and bhokta is nothing else but it is the ego in all of us. This ego is born. As soon as you get up in the morning, you will say, yes, I am. The moment you say I am, then you are identified with the body. The moment you are identified with the body, and then all the actions start for the day. Again, when you go back to sleep, the karta bhokta has gone to sleep. The I notion in the body has gone to sleep. Again, next day the I notion comes up, the reflection takes over, and then it does all the activities. Why does this happen? Why is this happening in the waking state for all of us? Why do we all act? Because of the law of karma. There is a law of karma which governs the body. This law of karma makes each one of us perform actions which are related to our individual duty in life, according to our ashramas. According to our stage of life, we do actions. And all throughout the life, we are just doing action after action, and then we reap the result of the actions. If this happens for one birth, the same thing continues in the next birth also. So here in this verse, what Lord Krishna is teaching is that Arjuna, you know that you are Atma, the higher principle. You are the pure awareness principle. You are the illuminator of this body, and you are through the body, you are illuminating the entire world which you see before you. So as Atma, you are non-doer, that means akarta. Non-enjoyer means you are abhokta in Sanskrit. If you are not a doer of action, and if you are not a enjoyer of action, automatically the next question which we will ask is, that means I don't have any papam or punyam, which is the karana shariram, which is attached to this body-mind complex. So therefore, what the teaching is, for Atma, there is no karana shariram. For those who are new to this Gita class, Each one of us, according to Tattva Bodha, we have three bodies. One is called as the gross body, which everybody can see. The subtle body is a mind which you can know, but others cannot, is invisible to the others. The third body is called as the Punya Papam Karana Shariram. That means in our account, the subtlest body is very sukshma. This is the body in which we all go back to sleep every night. When we are asleep, we are in this body called as Karana Shariram. This is unmanifest state of the body and mind. It's a seed state. This is the seed by which all our karmas are coming the next day and also in the next birth. So from this 19th verse, we understand I am not a karta bhokta, but I am Atma. How do I see this in real life? In real life, when we are doing actions, we should remember the fact that I am pure awareness, consciousness principle. And the body is acting, mind is continuously changing, but the one which sees this mind is this Sakshi or the Atma. This is how I realize this in my day-to-day activities. The next verse is one of the most often quoted verses from the Bhagavad Gita. In any Bhagavad Gita general talks, you will always find two verses from the Gita which is taken up. This is one of the verse, chapter 2, verse number 20. And then there is another verse, chapter 18, verse number 66. These two verses, there is no Gita talk, a general talk. If somebody is talking about introduction to Gita or talking about what the Gita is teaching, these two verses will always be quoted. This verse says, "Na jayate mriyate va kadachit, nayam bhutva bhavita va na bhuyah, ajo nityah shashwatoyam puranah, na hanyate hanyamane sharire." It's a very, very important verse because it tells us that I am not the body which is born, because this is one of the most fundamental misconceptions we all have. We are born with this ignorance that we are Atma. We are born with it, right from birth onwards till all of us, it's a natural feeling in all of us that I am born, I have grown, and I see death of other people. Therefore, one day perhaps I will also die. But here, Lord says, you are not born. He is not born, he never dies, and he never ceases to be. That means there is some factor in this body-mind complex, which I don't know. And that factor is what is called as awareness, consciousness. Now, looking at the awareness and consciousness principle, he says this consciousness or this awareness, the pure awareness, very important you should understand is that pure awareness, consciousness is unborn. That means before the birth of the body itself, this consciousness has been there. Very difficult to absorb initially for beginner students. It's very difficult to accept this fact, but this is the truth which is real, which is given out by Lord Krishna. This is the truth, the essence in all the Upanishads. This is the truth which is revealed in the Brahma Sutras. That there is a factor called as awareness, consciousness. Books and books and books have been written on this one topic, pure consciousness. And that is our real nature. So there is something called as awareness, consciousness, the most subtlest thing in creation, and it never dies. It is always existent, always there, whether in the waking state, dream state, sleep state, it never ceases. Whether you have a body, whether you don't have a body, it's still there. You may ask, how do I know whether I am the awareness principle without the body? Then the Shastra gives us the example of sleep. It says in sleep condition, you are not aware of the body, you're not aware of the world, you're not aware of the mind. But still, are you existing or not? That existence principle is our real nature. The pure existence principle, the pure consciousness principle is our real nature. The body, the physical body dies, and the physical body can be killed by physical instruments, or it can decay. But what remains undecaying, imperishable is this Atma, this pure awareness. So two main things which are brought up here is, it is ajaha, means it is unborn. It is nirvikaraha, that means it is changeless, always there. Therefore, it is called as sashvataha. Sashvataha means it is always, it is old. It is puranaha, ancient, because it has always been there. So this is something which we all must realize, that this is the factor which I know it is there. I know that I have not changed from 5-year-old to 12-year-old to 15-year-old. There is some factor in me which has not changed. Even at the age of 95, 99, you will have the same realization that in me there is a factor which is called as pure awareness, which has not changed. And that is the factor I own as my real nature. And it does not get born, nor does it kill, nor does it die. Na hanyate hanyamane sharire. It is not killed when the body is killed. So this is this lesson in verse number 20. If you can by heart this verse, it can be very useful to you in meditation. This one verse can take you straight into the nature of pure consciousness. Just one verse. I am not born. The body is born. The body changes. I am the pure awareness consciousness principle, which doesn't have any change, which is always there. This is what is the illuminating principle of the entire body, mind, and the world. It is through the mind the body gets illumined, and through the body, the 5 sense organs, the entire world of 5 sense objects, they become illumined. So in this body is this light of consciousness. That is verse number 20. So if you are meditating, you can take one verse at a time. Each day you can take from verse number 12 onwards, you can go up to verse number 25. And you can try to meditate, because when you meditate means what? You just try to remember what is the meaning of those verses with your eyes closed. When you do that, that is called as contemplation. Contemplation on our own nature. So when we do this type of contemplation and we keep away the worldly thoughts for about 10 minutes, that gives us tremendous benefit in realizing this Atma. Let's proceed to the next verse, the 21st verse. Here, Veda vinashinam nityam ya enam avjavyayam katham sa purusha partha kam dhatayati hantikam. What is important here is, it is indestructible, which has been said before. Eternal has also been said. Unborn has been said. Inexhaustible has been said. What is important here is, it does not cause others to be slain. That means it is akarayita. That means this Atma never instigates any mind or body to kill. It doesn't instigate. It doesn't say, okay, you go and do this action. Atma never advises the body. It is the body's own dharma. It has got the intellect. It has got the mind. It makes its own decisions as per the laws of karma, which is prakriti. So the body is a part of prakriti, part of the world, which is matter. And it keeps on changing. It keeps on decaying. It keeps on taking actions. But I am the Atma, which is pure awareness, pure illuminating principle. That is what is said in the 21st verse. 22nd verse is a nice verse, very beautiful verse. Vasamsi jirnani yatha vihaya navani grinhati naroparani tatha sharirani vihaya jirnani anyani sanyati navani dehi. Even if you don't understand Sanskrit, it doesn't matter. Just understand the meaning. So, to know Atma, you don't need to know Sanskrit. If you know Sanskrit, it will be beneficial, but it is not a must. It is not essential. There are many people who have learned in Spanish, in German, in other languages, and they have also realized their Atma. So if you understand the English meaning and you're able to contemplate in your own language, in your own minds, then it's also fine. So here it says that a person casts off his worn out clothes. Suppose you are wearing some shirt or a dress for say 10 years and it's become worn out, and you just remove the dress and then you change into a new dress. So what the Shastra says, what the scripture says, similarly, this self, that means there is a ego factor in this body, which is the ahamkara, which casts off the body and takes up a new body. So there is a factor in this body which removes this body and then takes on another body. Like a dress is taken up and taken off. Similarly, this jiva, which is the reflected consciousness, changes the dress of the body, which is called as anatma, which is called as not atma. That is what is called as anatma. And therefore, what we are saying is Atma is nirvikaraha, but the body is vikaraha. Body is changing. Atma is the one which is illuminating. It is always changeless. There is that factor is which we experience all the time, whether we are in the waking state, whether we are in the dream state, whether we are in the sleep state. what we are experiencing, what we feel that we are, that is our core nature, which we can never drop. We can drop the physical body. Like you go to sleep, the body is dropped. You go to dream state, this body is dropped, you take some other body and then you live in that body for some time. Again, the dream body is dropped. Again, you come back to the Karana Sharira. So this cycle of taking and dropping is all of us, we experience every day. As you take up drop this body in the sleep state, similarly, there is a principle by which this body can be dropped by the mind, and the mind can take another body as for the next prarabdha karma. So that is the idea behind this verse. These are the verses which are teaching us our real nature. Our real nature, again and again, do not forget, is pure awareness consciousness. It is the illuminator. It is not the illumined body or mind. Nainam chidyanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha, nachainam kledayantyaapaha, na shoshati marutaha. Here it says that this pure Atma cannot be burnt by fire. It cannot be moistened by water. It cannot be dried by the wind. Atma. But the body, physical body, can be burnt. Physical body gets affected. You go into the rain, the body, you can get soaked in the water. You go and in a windy place, the wind will affect your physical body, but not Atma. Why it is so? Because it has got no parts. Nir avayavaha. That is one reason. It cannot be cleaved by the weapons, or it can't be cut by the sword. So Atma cannot be affected. It is asangaha. Asangaha means it is not connected to the body. It's not connected to the body means it is remaining unaffected. Therefore, it is not burnt by fire or any of the 5 elements. So none of these can affect the Atma. That is what is said in the 23rd verse. The 24th verse, Achedyoyam adahoham akledam shoshayevacha nitya sarvagatas pranuhu achaloyam sanatanaha. Same idea. Here the one idea which says is Atma is achalam. Neither it is chalam or achalam. It cannot be cut, burnt, or moistened. We have seen it in the last one. It is eternal, all-pervading, stable, immovable, and ancient. Sanatanaha is repeated again, but it's an idea. What we should remember is Atma does not move when the body moves. You can say, I went to America and came back. What really went is not Atma, but the body, the physical body traveled in a plane and it came back. Atma is all-pervading principle. It is very, very subtle principle. It is ever present. It is not affected by time or place, and it cannot move because it is all-pervading. That is what is explained in this particular verse. So each of this verse gives us something new to note about Atma. The 25th verse, this is the last verse which we normally take. Verse number 12 to 25 is all these descriptions of Atma. Abhyaktoyam achintyoyam Adhikaryo muchyate tasmadevam viditvainam nanushochati marhasi. So here, Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna, do not grieve about killing somebody or over the death of somebody. Why? Because this Atma is said to be unmanifest. Unmanifest means the five sense organs are not able to identify it. The eyes cannot see that, the ears cannot hear the Atma, the skin cannot touch the Atma, the nose cannot smell the Atma, the tongue cannot taste the Atma. These are the only five sense objects which five sense organs are exposed to. Atma is something totally different than all these five sense objects which are made up of matter. And what he says is, so in this verse, avyaktam means unmanifest. Unmanifest means it cannot be an object of the five sense organs. Achintyam means you cannot think about Atma. You cannot say that, you cannot use a word to describe Atma. All these words which we are using here, they are all indicators. With reference to something in the world of objects, we are trying to indicate that Atma. So when my mind travels along these words in my own meditation, I will reach that Atma. Because I can own that as my real nature. In meditation, in contemplation, you never try to objectify it like you see an apple in your hand. You cannot close your eyes and say, I'm going to see Atma or hear Atma. You can only say, I am Atma, pure awareness, consciousness. This Atma is Purnaha. Purnaha means it does not require anything in the world, from the world. It's complete in itself. Because it is ever there. It is timeless. It is decayless. It cannot be affected. So what can it ask for from the world? Nothing. It is of the nature of bliss itself. It is Ananda Swarupa. It is ever pure, Shuddhaha. Shuddhaha means pure. Pure means it doesn't have the impurities like the mind has got impurities of attachment, aversion, jealousy, anger. All these are all different impurities in the mind, but Atma, the illuminator of the mind, is totally free. Muktaha means it's free from any of the impurities of the mind or the physical body or the world. And it is asangaha. Asangaha means, I told you, it's unconnected. How does the scriptures describe Atma? It says it is Sat Chit Ananda Swarupa. Sat means it is ever there. Satyam. It is the truth. The ultimate truth of my own nature, which cannot change, which doesn't change at all. I am the same Sat Atma. Chit. Chit means it is of the nature of consciousness, Chaitanyam, knowledge. And Ananda Swarupa means it's of the nature of bliss, pure happiness, uncontaminated with any sorrow at all. The mind is contaminated with joy and sorrow, sometimes joyful, sometimes sorrowful, sometimes very happy, sometimes very sad. It's the mind. It has got different degrees of happiness and sadness. But Atma is ever the same because it is nirvikaraha. The mind is vikaraha. Mind has got thoughts. The thoughts are changing, but not the illuminator of the thoughts. So far, what we have learned is about Atma and Anatma. Anatma means the body. This These 13 verses from 12 to 25, they are very useful to understand death. It is good to note and learn these verses while we don't have any problems around us. Then we are able to absorb these thoughts clearly. One of the greatest fears of which all of us face is death. Death of our own near and dear, and also the death which we see around the world. So these 13 verses are very, very important from 2 points of view. One is to understand that death belongs to only the physical body. The mind takes on another new body as per the scriptures. Therefore, there's no reason to grieve. Why people really grieve after death is because they miss that person's company, association on a day-to-day basis. If you are used to having a person around you and you don't have that person around you, that is what that missing that person causes sorrow. But this knowledge will help us because this will make us strong. That person, even though he was in association with me, he has not died. There's no death for the person. Death is only for the physical body. That knowledge is what we get from these 13 verses. Beautiful verses. You can by heart them. You can. These are the best verses from the Bhagavad Gita to by heart. If you want to by heart any of these verses, you please go ahead by heart from 12 to 25. They can be very, very useful for us in meditation. The second purpose of these 13 verses is it describes to me my own nature. That there is some nature of mine which I don't know. And Lord Krishna says in this teaching, he is trying to clarify this nature to me. Throughout the Gita, there is only one objective for Lord Krishna, to teach us Atma Vidya, which is called as Brahma Vidya. In every chapter at the end, it says Yoga Shastra and Brahma Vidya. That is the topic in each chapter. Yoga Shastra means it teaches us how to lead the life, how to face life. That is Yoga Shastra. Lessons for life. The second is lessons for Atma Vidya or Brahma Vidya, to know what is my real nature. Now this chart here explains to us when I am doing my day-to-day activities, how do I try to bring that teaching into my nature? What the scriptures and other texts they tell us is that the only place where we will be able to understand the expression of Atma is in our mind. In our mind, there are two thoughts. Now I'm going deeper into the mind. These are lessons which are taken up in Dridrishya Viveka and also in Sat Darshanam. The text which I'm doing on Wednesdays, this is the topic. That means in the mind, there are two thoughts. One is called as ahamkara. Ahamkara means the I notion which is attached to the mind, and it thinks that the body and the mind is that I, which is in short called as ego. Now it is this ego which we always refer to as I. Because we don't know about the Atma at all. 99% of the people, we don't know that there is something called as Atma. We live with this ahamkara, which is the ego, which identifies with the three states of consciousness, waking, dream, and sleep, which identifies with the five koshas. Five koshas, people who have done the Tattva Bodha, they know the background. The five personalities, Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, and Anandamaya Kosha. Then the three bodies are the gross body, subtle body, and the causal bodies. So in our normal day-to-day circumstances, we always live with this ego factor right from morning till night. This I notion refers to the ahamkara, which is a reflection of consciousness. It is not the actual consciousness. Pure consciousness can never be experienced. It can only be known. Now, what are the factors which this ahamkara has got? It is sagunam. That means it has got gunas. Gunas means it has got certain attributes which will be explained in the 14th chapter of the Gita, like sattva, rajas, and tamas. Then this ahamkara is experienced by me only in time and space. That means in sleep state, I don't experience ahamkara. See, this is how we should try to differentiate between Atma, Aham, and Ahamkara. Throughout our study, throughout our life, once you have entered into the spiritual study, we must keep this chart in mind. I must learn my pure awareness principle. The only way to learn is try to distinguish it from the mind. This ahankara is drishyam. It is seen by the sakshi, the Atma. Therefore, it is known to me. And it is dvaitam. That means it is always seen with the world. I, the mind, Atma, shining, revealing this mind, is always together with the world. Whereas Atma can remain independently, that is what is called as Aham. So going forward, I told you this is Karta Bhokta is Ahamkara, which we have just seen. This Ahamkara is the one which has got happiness and sadness. But these are momentary. Momentary means they are the reflections of the Atma in the mind. They come and go. The happiness which we experience comes and goes. And this ahamkara is sarupaha. Sarupa means it is always with form, in the form of thoughts, in the form of physical body. You can always experience the ahamkara. How is the aham or the atma? Aham relates to the pure awareness. Pure awareness, the first lesson you should learn is it is without the identification of the body, mind, and the five koshas or the three states. The first lesson, this is taught to us in the Tattva Bodha itself. Atma is beyond the body. And then next lesson we learn is nirgunam. It does not have any gunas. That means it is not the mind. Mind fluctuates throughout the day. Sometimes we feel like very, very active. Sometimes we feel very tired, very full of inertia. And sometimes we feel very knowledgeable. I can experience the world so well. That is called as a sattvic nature. Whereas Atma is non-fluctuating. It is the one continuous principle, the pure awareness principle. The moment you start learning these two things, you will come across to realize this Atma in ourselves itself. It is always the seer. It is always the experiencer, never the experienced. It is the light of consciousness. It is Advaitam and it is Sat Darshanam. That means it is always telling us, I exist. I exist. I am pure consciousness. I am always existent principle. This Atma never goes out of existence. The body and mind appear and disappear in waking, in dream, in sleep. There are fluctuations in the body, mind, awareness. But awareness by itself does not change. It is always secure. It is akarta, bhokta, I have already explained. And it is always the nature of happiness. That is the nature of Atma. And this Atma is formless. That is why I always say I am pure awareness principle, without any attachment to the body, mind, or the world. If ahamkara plays a dominant role in life, then freedom from samsara or dukkham or sorrow is not possible. We have to learn to live the whole life as Atma. So, after having learned that I am the awareness, I am the consciousness principle from the chapter 2 of the Bhagavad Gita, I keep that always with me and say, I am pure Satchit Ananda. I wake up to this super waker status as Atma. All of us know that we are in the waking state. But the moment I come to know that I am the pure consciousness, we become super wakers. We drop our body, mind as a dress which we wear in the waking state and claim that's pure consciousness as our real nature. So the 3 steps which we generally say in spirituality, number 1, first I do Atma, Anatma discrimination, which is called as Vivekaha. Then what is the next step? I own Atma as my nature and I try to drop the Anatma as a lower nature. The third thing which is very important is that this Atma is the substratum of the whole universe. That is a difficult exercise for us at this stage, but by the time we complete chapter 13 of the Gita, you will accept this third principle because that is the what we will learn in the 13th chapter of the Gita. Here I have just given you the opposites of what is Atma, what is Ahamkara or Anatma. Just a quick rundown of what is Atma, Anatma. This is what we call it as Atma, Anatma, Vivekaha. Anatma means what? It means the body, mind, complex, which is called as Ahamkara. So this we have to do it in our own self. I am the pure Atma. I am not the body, mind, complex, which is Ahamkara. First was eternal. I am the eternal Atma. That means I am not affected by time, whereas the body and mind is Anityaha. Anitya means, I've just given you some Sanskrit names. If you can remember the Sanskrit, it is good. If you can't remember, if you don't worry about it, you learn to remember the English meaning of those words. That is enough. The meaning of the word is most important, and contemplation on the meaning is very, very important to own the Atma. Why we prescribe meditation or contemplation is, if we hear once, we may tend to forget. Next week, if I ask you, tell me 3 things which you learned about Atma, you may not remember. But this chart will give you, it's like a tool for you to go through again and again. This chart will be useful to you throughout your spiritual study. Any Upanishad you study, it is the same thing. Because this is the crux of the entire spiritual study. The second attribute or the second indicator is Atma is nirvikaraha, without any modifications. Anatma has got 6 modifications as per the Tattvabodha lesson which we have learned. Asti, Jayate, Vardate, Viparinamate, Vipakshyate, Vinashyati. English meanings, it exists in the womb, that means the body exists. It has got a birth, it has got a growth, it has got a phase where it is called as metamorphosis. There is neither growth, neither decay. That is what we call as the middle age. Then there is decay and then there is death. These are the 6 changes, 6 modifications which belong to the body. Whereas Atma is the changeless awareness principle. It is the eternal principle, it is the changeless principle. The third important factor is independently existent, which is what we call as Satyam. Mithya means the body mind which appears and which has got a dependent existence on Atma. Without Atma, the body doesn't exist. Without Atma, the mind doesn't exist. And without the mind, the whole universe does not exist. Because it is the mind which energizes the sense organs, and the sense organs, they see the world. Avinashaha, the fourth factor, is imperishable. Atma is something which is never dies. No destruction for Atma, whereas the body and mind, they are perishable. Body, mind, and also the world. You can also apply all this which we are saying as Anatma to the world also. Sarvagataha means all pervading principle. All pervading means it is not limited by space or time. Whereas body and mind is alpagataha, which is finite. Aparichinnaha means again a word which says limitless, or parichinna means limited. Body has got a certain space it occupies. Certain measurements are there for the body. Certain weight is there. There is no weight, there is no measurement for the Atma. It is limitless. Then the next factor is Ekaha. Ekaha means it is one consciousness principle which pervades the entire universe. Whereas the body and mind, they are Anekaha. Anekaha means they are many, varied. The next principle is Aprameyaha. Aprameya means it is never an object of the sense organs, whereas the body and mind are prameyaha. Prameyaha means they are perceivable to the sense organs. The objects are perceived by the eyes, ears, and so on. The emotions are perceived by the mind. Thoughts are thought by the intellect. Whereas Atma is not an object at all. It is ever the subject. It is a non-doer, non-enjoyer, unborn, immortal. We have seen this. Whereas the body is doer, enjoyer, it is born, it dies. We have seen it does not instigate, Atma does not instigate the body to act. It just in presence of Atma, the body functions. Atma is without any parts. It is unconnected with the body. It is immobile. You cannot think of the Atma. It is unmanifest to the sense organs. It is full and complete. Whereas the body is with parts, it is connected to the 5 elements. It can move, it can be thought about, it is manifest in waking and unmanifest in sleep. It is always incomplete, always wanting. The body and mind is always asking us, is full of desires, whereas the Atma is ever desireless. Atma is pure, ever free, and Satchidananda Swarupa. Whereas Anatma is impure, never free, Dukkha Swarupa. So this is the lesson which we have learned about Atma and Anatma, the central teaching of chapter 2. One point before I close this discussion is, even though we say Atma and Anatma are different, we must remember that in the presence of Atma only, the entire Anatma is functioning. What is the relationship between Atma and Anatma? This is a very important point you should remember. You should never try to completely say I am Atma and Anatma is something. That is the first lesson, like I said earlier. Atma, Anatma, discrimination is the first lesson. But we must always remember that Atma is always together with Anatma, experienced together with Anatma, and while experiencing the Anatma, we must be aware of the Atma. Very, very important point. In the 13th chapter of the Gita, Lord Krishna will explain this particular point which I am telling you now. The reason I am telling you now is you must keep this in the background all the time, because you should not drop the entire Anatma 100% and keep trying to say that is the first step. Like the example I'll just give you so that this becomes easier to remember. When you're when you're seeing a ring or a chain, if you're focusing on the ring or a chain, it is like focusing on the Anatma, like the body and mind. While seeing the ring itself, suppose in your intellect you have the vision of the gold, which is the content of the ring. That is called as the vision of Atma. That is the total vision of the real nature of the universe, the real nature of yourself. That means I am the awareness principle that is like the gold, the vision of the gold. In that awareness principle, this body, mind is acting. So while seeing the body and mind itself, we must be able to say, I am the consciousness principle with all the other characteristics which we have just now learned. It is asangaha, it is nityaha, it is always there, whereas the body mind is coming and going. So what Lord Krishna says is that if you don't know Atma, then in the 13th chapter, he says that it's as good as you are dead in the universe, because you don't know your true nature. This is the exact words he uses in the 13th chapter. Yaha pashyati, saha pashyati. These are the words which he uses. The one who sees this Atma in and through the Anatma is the one who is a wise person, who is a Strita Pragya, who is the real knower of his own nature. So the relationship between the gold and the ornament, between the pure awareness and the body-mind complex, is that of the substratum and the adhyasa. Substratum and the superimposed. the Adhishtanam. Adhishtanam is called as the basis on which the entire body mind is superimposed on pure awareness principle. In the waking state, this superimposition is visible. In the sleep state, it goes into unmanifest condition, and then I am aware of my own nature, of pure awareness, pure consciousness. This is how we have to know and learn our nature. We have to own up this nature and say, I am always free, I am always eternal, I am immortal. This is a deliberate thought which comes into our mind because of the knowledge of the scriptures. The strength of owning up the Atma comes only from the strength of the scriptures, like the Bhagavad Gita. So these verses, the knowledge about Atma, keep that as the goal. Throughout the spiritual study, whenever you are lost in life, come back and try to learn these 13 verses. So what have we finally learned? I've already said that we are immortal as Atma. Jnani is aware of both Atma and Anatma at the same time. Samadarshinaha. Samadarshinaha means he has equal vision of the universe. The body dies, the sthula shariram, the physical body dies, it will have rebirth if we are identified with it as ourself. But Jnani, a wise man, is a sthira prajna. Sthira prajna means he's always got awareness which is always firm. Firm means he knows that I am the pure awareness principle. The desires, they come and go in the mind, but he is ever contented in the self. The attachments are born, and we engage in repeated thinking of those objects and get caught up in samsara. One of the best lessons which we have learned from this chapter is excellence in action is yoga. This is the definition of action. That means while knowing the real nature of Atma and being the Atma, perform your duty to the best of your ability. And finally, quietude of mind is yoga. At any time, you want to know what is that which I have to learn from the Bhagavad Gita is, I must learn to keep my mind quiet. When I am not disturbed, not agitated, I can work very well, and Bhagavad Gita will teach me how to act without getting disturbed in my mind. That is the topic of Karma Yoga, which is chapter 3. Okay, I have given, I just want to tell you that there are certain notes which are available in the website. The website, all of you know, is www.vedantastudents.com. Why I'm telling you about these notes is there are some of the participants of this program, of these classes, have called me and asked me what notes can I use if I want to study a little bit in depth the Bhagavad Gita. Because what I am doing here is only the chapter-wise summary. But if somebody is interested to know and to study this in detail at their own leisure, what is available in the website. I just will quickly tell you what is available so that you know exactly which part you may be interested. The first one is the summary class notes. This is all available in the website. This is the basis of my entire preparation for the for this series of talks which I'm holding. I have already done this 2 or 3 times before for the other groups. This is the basic notes which I'm working on. This is what I'll be doing throughout the classes. This is about 400 pages for the 18 chapters. And this is a summary. And this is the basis. I might be changing some slides here and there, but broadly speaking, this is what I'll be using. Then there is a second type of notes, which is called as verse-wise notes. Here, for each chapter, I have got each verse, and there are 2,000 pages in this. This is a verse-wise notes. This is primarily, I have done this, also I have done this for other groups, but this is for those who want to learn verse by verse. So, and this is taken, mainly prepared by me after listening to Swami Paramatmananda's talks on the Bhagavad Gita, all the 18 chapters. That is these, that is the verse-wise notes. Then there is some bhashyam notes. There are some people who have learned Sanskrit, who know Sanskrit. There are 3 chapters, there are 4 chapters where I have got the bhashyam notes. Bhashyam means Shankara Bhashyam, a commentary of the Bhagavad Gita by Shankaracharya. Now, Shankaracharya does word by word. Sanskrit, he takes each word and then he writes a commentary. So this is a word by word, it is a very, very in-depth meaning, but unless until you know Sanskrit, don't enter this particular 4 chapters called as Bhashyam notes. Then there is short notes on Gita. This is for people who want to do a quick run through of the Gita. These are verse-wise again, but they are not so much in depth like the first notes which I explained to you of Paramatmananda, Swami Paramatmananda. These are notes of another Swamiji called as Swami Omkarananda, who has also covered the 18 chapters, and these are some notes which I have, which are shorter, they are easier to understand. Then the next type of notes is called as Master Gita, Master Life. That is the title of this NGML, they call it. Now, these are notes of the Bhagavad Gita, which is a course being conducted by the Chinmaya Mission in Cochin. It is called as Master Gita, Master Life, and these are notes of the actual course which was done and is still continuing. This is by Swami Advayananda, and it's got the notes of the classes. There are only 11 chapters so far, and the 12th chapter onwards is being written, and it will take 5 to 6 months for the 12th to 18th chapter. So as of now, all the chapters are not available. This is another type of notes which is available, which you can go through. The last one on the Gita notes is, it is Gita for youth. There are some verses which are especially suitable for youngsters, say up to the age of 20, they will find these verses useful. Hatha Yoga mantras, these are all Hatha Yoga practitioners of yoga. For them, these mantras are there. There are 26 pages of notes. But broadly speaking, I would recommend first you try to revise the notes of what we are circulating every week. If you have time, then you go to the other notes. At any time you want to go through it, you can understand that. But in case you have any difficulty, if you're still not sure, you can write to me, you can discuss with me. I can suggest to you what is there in each of these notes. And if you are interested in very deeper study of the Bhagavad Gita. But the most important is, remember that always try to apply whatever you're learning to your own self. And that would help in internalizing the study. Okay, that was about the notes. I have given some of the important verses here for introspection and meditation. These are for every chapter, I'll be putting these verses up. With that, we will close chapter 2. We will enter into chapter 3 of the Bhagavad Gita, which is called as Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga means yoga of action. And what does this mean? Karma means action, and yoga means how do I do the action? This chapter has got 43 verses, and we are going to study this under 3 topics. The first topic is called as Karma Yoga. The second topic is called as the lifestyle, which is called as Shrestha Achara. And then the third topic is the analysis of anger and desire. These are the 3 topics consisting of 43 verses. And we will study this with a view to how, like I said, the first 6 chapters deal with Jiva Swarupam. Jiva means how do I act in this world? I, as a Jiva, I am a body-mind complex. How do I act in the world so that I can purify my mind? The only objective of the only object by which we do and we call it as a yoga is when this action of mind is used with the goal of purifying the mind. Suppose you are just simply acting, like you go to office, you go and do your duties, you go and and you just perform actions. Those are called as laukika actions. Generally, laukika actions would not be qualified under karma yoga. That means you go to office and come back. This is not karma yoga, but you can convert it to your karma yoga also. By saying, whatever I'm doing, I will do it with the motive of purifying my mind. If you keep that as the goal, then it becomes yoga. So that is what is the fundamental thing which we should remember while performing action. And the first topic is Karma Yoga. There are 2 aspects you should remember about Karma Yoga. One is proper action, and the second is proper attitude. Proper action means doing the right actions. Nishkama means doing actions without any desires. Suppose I want to help the society. I teach yoga. That is called as Nishkama. Suppose I'm working for my own family, for my own wealth, for my own self. That is Sakama. So I should try to do more of Nishkama, that means selfless activities, and reduce my selfish activities. That is called as proper action. Nishita karma means I should drop all the activities which are barred by the Vedas. That means they are told to us, don't perform these actions. Nisheda. Nisheda means to be dropped immediately. Now, actions are done as per our stage in life. If I'm a student, if I'm an adult, if I'm a married person, grihastha, if I'm a middle-aged person, if I'm retired, all the actions will differ. But in general, all the actions are divided into Pancha Mahayagya. I will give the descriptions when we do the actual verses. Then the attitude is very, very important. See, this action becomes a yoga when I do it with 2 attitudes. One attitude is, it is called as Ishvara Arpana Buddhi. That means I offer all my actions to the Lord so that He can purify my mind. Then the second attitude is, this is the action, this is the attitude while doing the action. The second is while receiving the result of actions. Because today I may perform an action, the result may not come tomorrow. It may come after 1 month, it may come after 6 years, it may come after 5 years. Today I bring up my children, but the result of that action may come after 25 years. But whenever the results come, I take it as a prasada. Prasada means it is Lord's will. I take it as Lord's will. That is what is called as proper attitude. This particular chart is the central crux of the third chapter. This particular Karma Yoga, proper action, proper attitude. Whenever somebody asks you what is Karma Yoga, immediately this should come into your mind. And I've already explained to you what are the 3 types of karma. Nishiddha karma means actions which are not supported by the Vedas. We have to give up. Sakama means based on my likes and dislike. I want to buy a house. I want to get married. All this is called as sakama. And nishkama means based on rituals which are more towards again purifying my mind. So with that, what I will do is we'll stop here. We will get into the question and answer session, and we will close. We will start with the Panchamaha Yajna, and then we will continue. We'll try and finish this chapter 3 next week, and then go into chapter 4. So chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 5, these are 3 related chapters which are all dealing with Karma Yoga. What attitude I should do the actions, how do I purify my mind, what are the factors of actions, all that we will be studying. And chapter 6 is the meditation chapter. So 3, 4, 5 are all to do with how to improve my actions, how to do actions, how to mentally say that I am not an actor, I am the Sakshi. That is what will be told to us in the chapter 4. And chapter 5 will tell us how to drop the actions for studying the spiritual side. So we will continue with this verse, with this topic of Panchamaha Yajna next week, and then we'll proceed like this from chapter to chapter. Okay, so with that we'll close for the day, and then we'll see next week again. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachade Purnasya Purnamathaya Purnameva Vasishyade. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Let me see if there are any. Okay, there are some questions here. Bal Shankar Iyer is asking, okay, Akshay is saying, what is the difference between pure consciousness, reflected consciousness, Atman and Paramatman? Good question. As you learn the Bhagavad Gita, I'll be explaining these words to you more and more. In short, I will tell you right now, pure consciousness means it is my real nature. Consciousness means Chaitanyam in Sanskrit. It means awareness. I am aware. I exist. I am and I am aware. That's all. The moment you say I am the body, after the awareness comes the mind, then it comes the body, then it comes the word. So up to I am is pure consciousness. And this cannot be objectified. It is only owned up. So when you close your eyes, you can just say, I am, I am, I am, I am the pure consciousness. That's all. You can own up and say, I am the pure consciousness. Okay, the next is what is reflected consciousness. When you sit quietly in meditation and you close your eyes, what will happen is I am is what you want to be. After you close your eyes, when you are sitting in meditation, what happens is you are experiencing other thoughts. The experience of the other thoughts is called as reflected consciousness. I am is not reflected consciousness. I am is pure consciousness. And that is called as Atman. That I am, when I look at it in my body, with reference to my body, I call it that pure consciousness is called as Atman. The same Atman, the same consciousness, when it is looked from the view of the entire universe, with reference to the entire universe, it is called as Paramatman. That means it's Para Atma, Supreme Atma. Mine is, when I say Atma, it means only my body, my mind. Inside this body mind complex is this Atma. That is the individual Atma. The same Atma is called as Paramatma when I take, because they say, the scripture says that this pure consciousness in this body is the same which is there in all over the world, all over the cosmos. It spreads. It is like the space. It is like the light which is distributed from the light from the sun. It is one light which is there throughout the universe. So similarly is this consciousness, this chaitanyam or this awareness principle. When it is looked up from the entire universe point of view, it is called as the Paramatma. Surinder Goyal I think he has tried to answer this question of Akshay. The Atma is life current that is making the physical body alive. Yes. If Atma is not Bhokta, then how it remains in Satchidananda? Okay, Satchidananda is the nature of Atma. Who is the Bhokta as per ISKCON? Okay. Okay. Who is the Bhokta is the central question which he is asking. This Bhokta is a reflected consciousness in the body, which is also called as Ahamkara. And that ego, Ahamkara is called as the ego. That ego is nothing else. It is a combination of the pure consciousness with the mind. So the mind and pure consciousness, when they come together, it is called as the jiva. The jiva is the bhokta. The jiva is the karta. This is what we should understand. that the jiva is the karta. The jiva here means it is a combination. It is not only the body, it's not only the mind, but it is a combination of the pure consciousness. That means that is why we always say it is reflected consciousness. That pure consciousness gets reflected in my mind, and then that becomes the bhokta. So during our whole life, we should note that it is always the combination of the two, which we are. Only in the sleep state, I am the pure consciousness. I am not the bhokta, I am not the karta, I am not the pramata. Pramata means knower. I am pure Atma. The only problem is in sleep state, I have got ignorance. But this knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita removes that ignorance for me. So the job of Vedanta or job of Bhagavad Gita or Upanishad is only to remove this wheeling nature of this Maya principle. I will talk about Maya later on, but basically it means that there is a covering. That covering is removed by the study of the Gita. Like I'm now telling you, you are that pure consciousness in sleep without ignorance. There is no ignorance because the ignorance is gone. So who am I in sleep? I am the pure consciousness. I am the pure awareness principle. Each one of us, we already are experiencing it. Only thing is we don't know. That knowledge is what Lord Krishna is giving us in the Bhagavad Gita. When we study the chapter 13, this will be absolutely made clear. The 13th chapter is the crux of the entire Bhagavad Gita for the knowledge of Atma. Chapter 2 is just an introduction, Atma, Anatma, Viveka. But in the chapter 13, it takes the second step and the third step, which I described to you a little while ago. As per ISKCON, Lord Krishna is Bhokta and we are the Ansh of Lord Krishna. You see, the ISKCON has got a different methodology of teaching. So what we are following is the Shankaracharya's Vedanta scheme, Vedanta method of teaching. ISKCON has its own method of teaching. It will also reach the same goal, but you try to see what makes sense to you. Mamai vamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatanaha. I know this particular verse which you are referring. Manashashtandriyani prakriti sthani karshiti. See, when I come to do this chapter 15, what it means is, this particular verse which you're referring, in Vyavahara, in our day-to-day waking state, we are an Amsha. We are an Amsha means we are that reflection of that Lord Krishna, which is that pure consciousness. I am that reflected consciousness in my waking state. But in my real state, I am not this reflected consciousness. I am one with Lord Krishna. That is what it means. And then Manashashtandhyani Prakasthithani Karshidi, that means it is a part and parcel of the Prakriti. This reflected consciousness is reflected in the Prakriti, which is matter, which is the body and mind. Okay, so that was the question. I think that's all the questions here. Okay, there is some more questions, sorry. Okay, those verses, in case you're not, you still have some doubts, I can discuss this personally with you later. Anytime you can call me, you can just send me a WhatsApp and then we can chat on this. Chintan is asking a question, how to act, excel in action and perform our duties of body in the same time remembering we are Atma. Yeah, this is what is going to be taught to us as we continue in the Bhagavad Gita, this will be taught to us. In every chapter, the Lord will be telling us, perform action, but remember that you are not the doer. I am the doer of action because I am illuminating the body and mind. Remember that this mind is nothing but it is got the illumination from that higher principle, that Atma. Every time you wake up in the morning, just remember this particular point, this teaching of Lord Krishna, who says that I am there in every body as Atma. This comes in the 13th chapter. In the 3rd verse, Lord Krishna says, in 13th chapter, 3rd verse, he says, I am in every body. That means he is reflected in the body, in the mind. So when you wake up in the morning, you only remember this point, and then what you do is, I am always this Lord which is there, which I don't know, which I can't see through my eyes, he is there. Because Shastra or Bhagavad Gita is the source of knowledge. Like my eyes are the source of knowledge for the form and colors, I have to accept that what my eyes cannot see, that is what Gita is revealing to me. And I have to own up that Atma in my own body and say that awareness principle is there. This awareness principle can be experienced only in meditation when we see our thoughts. Lord Krishna himself will say in the 6th chapter, when he talks about meditation, he will say, in every thought I am there as a reflection. See, Atma is the most subtlest thing in the universe. It is subtler than the subtlest. Subtle means all of us, we know the space is subtle. In space, all objects are existing. But Atma is the cause of space itself. So you can imagine, my eyes cannot see space. I come to know space because I can see all objects existing in space. It's an inference. Similarly, Atma exists. And it is through this knowledge, if I remember this remembering happens by continuous study. Army personnel might not be able to kill the enemy soldier if he thinks that the enemy is also Atma. No, no, no. When you come to army and when you're fighting a war, it is exactly like Arjuna fighting the battle. This is Dharma Yuddha. It is Dharma Yuddha means this is a war being fought is for Dharma. Do not confuse Dharma, which is in the waking state. We are all in the waking state as this body, mind working as per Dharma, Adharma. So in the army, if somebody is killing, it is with the knowledge that he is protecting his country. So that is the goal. That is the intellect will tell him that he is protecting the country. And it is the job of the soldier to fight. Like, for example, a policeman. It's a job to protect the dharma, make sure that the rules are followed. Similarly, a doctor. You cannot say that the doctor is killing a person. He is trying his best to do a surgery to help the person to survive and to live. So that we should not confuse between the nature of Atma and our actions which we do in our day-to-day life. Nature of Atma, remember, it is purely for our own use to know and to benefit our own actions. But when it comes to actions, follow Dharma. When it comes to owning up who you are in the seat of meditation, there you use I am pure awareness, consciousness, Atma. Knowledge is meant for me. That's all. Don't try to apply in the wrong context. Okay, the next question is 4 new messages. I'm neither the doer. Okay, there is something more. Okay. It is said there are 2 main ways to reach the ultimate, Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga. Both are equally important, but ultimate way happens through Jnana. Why Lord Krishna recommended Karma Yoga to Arjuna? Can you throw some light? Okay, Akshay, this is what we are going to study in chapter 3, 4, 5. The same question which you are asking has been asked by Arjuna, and we will be answering. So just wait, when the chapters come, this question will be answered. Vijaya is asking, giving up the doership by Ishwara Arpanam, giving up Bhoktrutvam by Prasada Buddhi, looks like the key. Yes, that's correct. This is the key for entire action. I am the, I am neither the doer or nor enjoy the Paramatma is, okay, I am the instrument, his true reflection. Yes, we can see, we can say that we can use that we are the instrument under the Lord. This body is an instrument of the Lord. We can also act with that attitude. That is the third attitude by which we can work. This comes in chapter 10, where he says that, nimitta matram bhava savya sachin. So this is another attitude by which we can do karma yoga. How to act, excel in action, and perform our duties at the same time, remembering that we are Atma. Okay, this I've already answered. The above question to Swadharma is right. Yeah, looks like Adhyatma versus Vyavarika. Okay, this I've already answered. Is there any other question from anybody else? I will just open up the conversation now. You can ask with. Yeah, does anybody have a question?
Hello, Shekharji.
हाँ बोलो भाई.
In your early chapter 22, you were saying that Atma never makes us others to kill, right?
Yeah, correct. Atma never makes others to kill. That's correct, because it is only an illuminator. It is not.
Right.
It is not the decision. What makes the decision is the mind.
Then what makes you to kill another person?
Yeah, that is what, see, you will kill, or see, in the case of battle, it is what happens is you are following the dharma and you are fighting adharma in the battlefield, and that makes you kill. So it is more to do with the injustice which the other person is doing. Therefore, you are trying to establish, your duty is to establish justice in this society. So that is what making you kill. That is what is called as the action done by an ahamkara. Atma is yeah.
Is it the thought from the mind or what?
Yeah, it is the thought from the mind. Yes, it is a thought of the mind, but it is a justified thought. And Atma is illuminating that thought. That's what it means.
But you see, in the war, both countries are fighting to save their country. So
correct.
Where the sin comes from?
So
There's
then,
no sin, right?
If both countries are fighting a just war, then somebody has to come and say that this is just and that is unjust. That, for example, if 2 countries are fighting, then obviously that is why there are international courts. You see, international courts say that you are right, your other person is wrong. So it is, if you have to look at it from your own country's point of view and fight.
But in the case, both countries are fighting for justice. They are defending their own country.
That's
So
correct.
I don't see any barrier of thing or whatever.
Yeah, that's correct. That is why common sense is required.
So
Okay.
the thought is coming from the mind, right?
Yes, yes. It's always a thought which comes from the mind. It's the ahamkara which is doing the actions.
So it's the amkara that gives you the bad thought, lah.
Yes, that's correct. It is the ahamkara which has got the vasana of the bad thoughts, which comes and tells you, okay, you're doing the right, you're not doing right, it confuses you, and so on.
So for the sake of the revenge feeling and all this is all under amkara.
Yeah, that's correct. That's all samsara. You're right. Revenge killing and all that is it's all wrong, completely wrong, you know. So even thought of killing itself is ahimsa. It is wrong. Even thinking about killing somebody is wrong.
Then why the war for?
Well, that is beyond our control. See?
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
If all these actions are due to the vasanas, then
Yes.
how we can exhaust them all? Means we can make them null.
You cannot exhaust all the vasanas. That is why the knowledge comes in, and the knowledge will kill all the vasanas at one shot. Sanchita karma, the entire Sanchita karma bag which you have, will all be in one shot. It will be destroyed. When you know who you are, in one shot you will come to know all the actions in my past will come to zero, because immediately you'll realize I'm not the actor. The moment you realize I'm not the actor, all the actions in your account is gone. From that day onwards, you are just an eliminator. You are a pure Atma, pure consciousness. So vasanas is there only to explain up to the time of knowledge. Once you get the knowledge, then this entire vasana, these impressions in the mind all go away. They are all washed off in in a flash of a second. They're washed off, and then you are pure. You're always pure. You never then get agitated. You never will know. You will have a free mind. This happens the moment you get this knowledge firmly in your own mind. This pure, all the vasanas, everything gets destroyed. That is what the scriptures tell us. That sanchita karma gets destroyed, agami gets destroyed. The only thing is prarabdha karma will continue for till the time your body is kept alive, so that it can benefit the society, it can benefit others in the society.
And you mentioned one thing.
But yes. I mean,
the pure consciousness cannot be experienced, but only known.
Yes, that pure Atma can be known by a purified mind. Only a purified mind will know Atma. All the actions we do, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Vishnu Sahasranamam, pujas, Dasera Puja, Diwali Puja, all what we do is to purify our mind. All the is only
we are doing all this, but it doesn't help us in any way.
No, it will help. All this help, yeah, it takes time. Bhavai, it takes time.
So this purification will culminate in realization.
Yes, the purification will culminate. Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, all this will culminate in the realization of Atma.
So the human has to wait for the self-realization.
Yes.
Right?
It's a slow process. It is a slow process, but it is a definite process. Lord Krishna tells us that it is possible, and people have done it in the past. Yeah, Surendra, do you want to ask anybody? Yeah, sorry, anybody? Yeah, anybody else has a question?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Surendra, you wanted to ask any other question because I seem to have answered, but do you have anything else to say? Okay. Anybody else has any other questions or clarifications? Okay. Thank you very much. In case you do have, you can send me a WhatsApp message. I can reply to you directly. Thank you. And then we'll start with the third chapter next week. And in case you need any further information on the notes, I can help you out. Otherwise, revise these notes which I am circulating, and then whenever you have the time, you can go through the verse to verse. Okay. Thank you and good night.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shekhar ji.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hari Om.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Shukriya.
Yeah, Venkatesh, any news from your side?
News means anything specific?
No. Are you enjoying these lectures, these talks?
Yeah, this is fine. You are going ahead.
Yeah. This is
Very nice, Shekhar ji. Very nice. Very nice.
It's
It's much more profound.
yeah,
Total
correct.
repetition and
Yeah.
all. It is more than Bhagavad Gita what you are doing.
Yeah, correct. Because I'm taking it with the experience now. I'm looking at experience of the Atma,
Yeah.
which is I find is very, very important.
The flavor of Upanishads are also added, so
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's just the full decantated version of it. It's so very
Yeah,
nice.
Upanishad.
what happens is some of the important verses and all, it you get to remember more easier actually.
Yes, correct. That's right. Especially these 25 verses which I've taken now.
12 to 25 is super important.
Yeah, this chart which I presented is a very useful chart throughout for any type of Upanishad study
Yeah.
or anything, you know.
Yeah. No, in the
Okay.
normal Bhagavad Gita, it will not be possible for people to go through the charts and all. Because
Yes.
of the Upanishads only, we could able to get all those things. No? So
That's
the
correct.
level is
Yes.
there.
Yeah, I'm trying to bring that aspect into our study of the Gita this time, you know.
Yeah. So it's more detailed way it's going on. And,
Yeah.
Very nice. Thank you, Shekhar
excellent.
ji.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I'm glad you're attending and
Wouldn't miss it.
Yeah.
yes.
Bhagavad Gita
Yeah,
is
can you
always
unmute yourself, unmute your mic and talk?
Now you can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
Yes,
you now.
yes.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I have attended Gita classes in Bombay and in Delhi. I used to go to Chinmaya Mission.
Okay.
They never explain, only chanting. I
Okay.
like what you're doing.
Oh, okay. Very
At
good.
least little bit can go into his head.
Okay, no
Only
problem.
chanting.
Okay, no problem. I mean,
So I prefer this to chanting.
okay, very good.
So if you don't know Sanskrit, I don't know Sanskrit.
Yes.
So I can't chant. I can only hear, that's all.
Okay, no problem. There are
Thank you.
there are many people like you in the group. You see, who are also they can't know how to chant. Therefore, that's why I'm focusing on the meaning of the verses.
Meaning is better.
Yes.
Better.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
very nice. Yeah. Very
Thanks.
good. So, yes.
Okay. All right. Okay, Venkatesh.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
Shekhar
Shekhar
ji.
ji. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Good.
Thanks.